Oh, welcome back to another edition of the Chicago White Sox here on OOTP 25. And as you can see, we are here at the start of the offseason. Our budget for 2029 has actually been raised slightly. It's gone up to $226 million, which is the 22nd highest budget in Major League Baseball. Obviously, not a very big budget, but that's what we deal with around here. And I'm not usually somebody who likes to spend a ton of money anyways in these games. We only really have to make a couple decisions here this offseason, at least at this stage right here. Matt Manning has an option to be decided on. Even though he wasn't his greatest, it's bringing him back for $1 million, $1.5 million, so we are absolutely going to be opting in for another year of Matt Manning. We've also had a couple different minor league players or minor league staff retire, our AAA hitting coach, a rookie ball reliever, I guess, just a player, who cares. But we actually had our trainer retire, which is a big bummer because he was a trainer that we liked. And trainer and scout are always two ones that are really, really important. So we need to figure out who is going to be our new trainer. Now, one that's standing out to me right now is Caleb Moldenhauer here. He's got excellent preventing arms, outstanding preventing legs, outstanding back, outstanding preventing others, fair recovery, who cares, not really. I mean, it's somewhat important, I guess, but not really matter too much for me. And then he's also got some good rehab stuff here for legs, arms, backs, poor for rehab other, but, for the majority of the main stuff, he's got decent rehab stuff along with the good preventing stuff here. This guy's got some slightly better, legendary stuff in prevention. Steve Burkhead here, but he doesn't have as good as rehab. And I like pairing up good prevention with good rehab. So I think we are going to go with Moldenhauer, unless there's somebody out there who I'm missing yeah, this guy's got good prevent arms and legendary rehab, but doesn't have good enough other stuff. Same with this guy, Falk. So yeah, we're going to be going with Moldenhauer as our guy. He is going to be he's 62 though, so hopefully he sticks around for a little bit, a decent amount of time. I don't want him just retiring after 2 seasons. And we're spending a decent amount of money here in Chicago as a team that doesn't have the highest budget. We've got this Tanner Houck contract now. We've got one more year. Or I guess Jeffrey Springs is expiring. Probably not going to be bringing him back for another season. We've got this Edgar Caro contract, which is now getting into the 20 millions. Brian Ramos is now starting to get up into the double digits. Montgomery is getting up in the double digits. Santucci is team-friendly very much throughout the entire time. Walker Jenkins is going to start getting into double digits here next season. So we're starting to have a pretty expensive team with our core really getting into the prime of their careers here, their mid to late 20s portion of their careers. But there's always ways we can open up money, and like I said, we're not going to be spending a ton. Signing a guy like Houck to a deal like this is very, very out of the ordinary for me, but I just felt like it was just too good of an option to pass up for us with this front-loaded deal we signed him to. So that's why. And then plus, he was obviously extremely good for us this season. So we'll see if we can free up some money. Usually I'll look at the back end and certain guys somebody I don't know, maybe Liager is somebody we look to possibly trade this offseason. Maybe not, but it's only $1.7 million in arbitration, so probably not. But then there's other guys just free up a quick $740,000. Somebody trying to think of an example here. Seaver King, perhaps. Maybe he's not sticking around long term as a depth outfielder, and we waive and DFA him and either bring him back through a minor league deal or something, or just let him walk. But right now he is on a $750,000 contract. So, something like that is usually something we're able to free up. We have some possibilities that we could look to open up some money. Sheng here has pretty much proven that he's not really a guy for us. I don't know. Maybe not. We'll obviously evaluate the roster, but there are some guys that we could possibly look to not bring back on the Major League roster or the 40-man roster this year and open up their save a little bit of money that way. And then also just guys like Springs coming off the books, and Tanner Banks is no longer going to be a player for us. He's on the former Sox list already. I believe Springs is not. So he'll be on that list. Sawinski, I mean, I'm not even going to add him to the former Sox list because he was not good for us and barely played. Also not going to bring him back because he's probably going to want a decent amount of money considering he's making 6.6 right now. And yeah, we're not going to be able really to... I guess we can afford that, but I'm not exactly desperate to bring him back on something like that. So Jack Sawinski, I doubt, is going to be back in Chicago for a full season. But as far as the arbitration guys go, we've got Hayden Younger, who will probably be back. I mean, yeah, 100% going to be back on just a small arbitration number. Same with Liesier, probably. Anthony Siegler will not be our backup catcher at $2.4 million. Absolutely not. We will be moving on from him, getting in a different backup catcher. Brooks Baldwin will not be back. He's just a guy who doesn't really have a spot on this team anymore. Not even doing well down in AAA anymore, so he's just gone. Noah Miller, probably going to bring him back on a $1.5 million. We would like to ideally get a better offensive player for him at shortstop, but as long as he's going to keep putting up ZRs like this and being like a 2-win player, 1.5 2-win player at shortstop, we don't really have any better options at the moment. So Noah Miller is going to be our shortstop most likely next season at 1.5, maybe a little bit less. Zavala, he will be back, but he's not somebody we're looking to sign long-term. Maybe once he starts getting up a little bit more expensive, we might try to trade him, but for now he is back. Hudson Head, he'll probably be back. He's coming off the best year of his career, 2-win season. Maybe we could look to try to find a better center fielder, but I'm not exactly desperate to do that considering he's been fine enough, at least last season. But if there's something out there, obviously we are going to look into everything with every possibility we can to improve the roster. And Jeffrey Springs here wants a pretty hefty amount of money, 21.2 for the first season, 18, and 16. It's just the default offer. We could possibly try to QO him. I think it's to the point where he's so old. He's 36. So I do think that you do run the risk of him accepting it because he's so old and it's so close to this highest number that he wants, even if he does want a multi-year deal. Like if I go like 1 year for that amount of money, yeah, like he'll just straight up accept that. So we're not going to be QOing him because he will accept that. But Jason Foley, our super opener, man, he's been here since, I guess not the first season, but since 2025, he's been here in Chicago, and he has been a weapon for us out of the pen for 4 straight seasons, pitching a ton of innings. I mean, he's been a huge part of our teams here the past couple seasons. He's 33 now, and he's a reliever who's entering free agency, so like maybe we could bring him back on a 1-year deal. I'll think about it, but I'm not exactly desperate to bring him back. If I do, it's probably more so for just like the fun of having him on the roster for another season. Sean Bouchard, probably not going to bring him back. Tanner Banks, probably going to be too expensive for my liking. Yeah, I'm not going to give a reliever this much money, especially at his age. So Tanner Banks will not be back, and he will be probably going up to somebody, or he is going to be going up to some other team and probably being not as good as he was for us. Also, I should mention, as I'm recording this, we are like a little more than a week away from Thanksgiving, which means next week we got college basketball. We got Feast Week. That's what it's all about, baby. And then we also... it's time to watch The Last Waltz. You know how it is. I just saw the clip of Martin Scorsese being played, Tupelo Honey by Robbie Robertson. That clip, if anybody's into that type of music, I'm sure you've seen that clip. All-time clip. It's a great song. It's a great clip. It's been in my head all morning. And then, he's also just the star of The Last Waltz, just high-kicking all around on Caravan. Great stuff. Love to see it. I'm going to be watching the hell out of it. And then for those of you that aren't aware, the 2 best pieces of Thanksgiving media are that and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. So just quickly looking at our roster right now when it comes to the position players here. Obviously, Caro is going to be the catcher, Ramos at first base, Montgomery at third, Jenkins in right field. We think that Zavala and Head are going to be left and center. And then Gonzalez and Miller. Miller, I think, is going to be the shortstop, but it could end up being somebody like Ryan Burroughs. Or maybe we try to let Brooks Lee get a shot at shortstop and see if he can finally figure things out for us. Who knows? Anything can happen at shortstop for us. Second base, I think, is going to be a mix of Jacob Gonzalez and Javier Magallan this season. Magellan, 23 years old, put up a 5-WAR season, 5.5-win season in AAA for us. Barely played in the big leagues, and does look like he could be a good player. So Magellan's going to get some time for us. Jacob Gonzalez on paper should be a good player. Hasn't quite clicked for him yet at the major league level, but hopefully it does. And even if maybe we're going to have to platoon him or something, maybe he plays against righties as a left-handed pitching or a left-handed hitter, and then Magellan as a right-handed hitter. Maybe he plays against lefties, but also probably mixes it a little bit against righties because he can hit a bit against lefties, or righties rather. So he's not a total platoon guy. And then Miller, like I said, Miller, Burrows, or Lee could be the shortstop, or maybe bring somebody in from outside the organization. Who knows? And then also we got some decent backup outfield options. If Head struggles this year, Demarion Terrell could easily slot in and be our center fielder. 22 years old, almost 23. He was a 13th round pick for us in 2024, coming off 2 good seasons at the AA level. Could be a decent player. And then we also have Nick McLean, who is on the roster still. He is almost 26 years old. He was a 5th round pick in 2024. Hasn't quite put it together at the big league level for us, but also hasn't really gotten a true chance to actually show what he is, because he just hasn't gotten a chance over some of our other guys. And right now, though, could be an interesting 4th outfielder type for us. The ground ball hitter is definitely going to limit him, but he's got some really good speed, really good defensive profile, plus the eye, and then some average contact and gap power. Could be an interesting player. So, we're excited about him. We've got some options. We don't really need to be desperately looking outside the organization for some hitters, but we could if there's something out there that really intrigues me. And then on the pitching side of things, we have some interesting options when it comes to the rotation. Houck, Santucci, McDougal are all locked into our rotation spots 100%. Obviously, we're not going to move them out of the rotation. I think Jaden Barfield is going to move to the rotation this season. Hope that this changeup ticks up a bit, but also does have some good control and movement stuff. It is 50 movement, not 55, but still, he's got that good control, 55 stamina, and we're hoping that he's going to be able to transition to the rotation for us. And then the 5th spot, it's whether Barfield is 5th or 4th, and then the other spot is going to belong to either Grant Taylor or Matt Manning. Grant Taylor moved to the bullpen this season and was a super stopper for us. Probably going to win reliever of the year. At least be top 3 in that voting, if not top 2, if not winning it. So Grant Taylor, he could just be the super stopper for us again, the right-handed stopper. Or he could be in the rotation. Now, his control did go down to 40, which is unfortunate. That is something that recently happened in September. So that's definitely worrying for me for a guy who moves to the rotation. But he does have that 55 movement, so maybe it plays up a bit with the stuff, and we can just hope it works. But if it doesn't, then we can move him back to the bullpen if we want to go that route. And then we also have Matt Manning, who could either be a reliever for us, he could be the follower, the right-handed, or the follower. He could be the right-handed stopper, or if he ends up in the rotation, he will be a follower, and he will be paired with a opener, as he was this season, because being a regular starter just did not really work out for him, and he has had some success in the bullpen for us, obviously. And then as far as the bullpen guys who will 100% be back, just ignore what these primary roles are actually listed as. These middle relief guys are guys who I think are going to be 100% on the team next season, at least to start opening day. These long relief guys are guys who could maybe be on the opening day roster. And then Foley is just of these 3 guys, he's the only one we might bring back for lore reasons, essentially, at this point. And then Jeffrey Springs will not be brought back on this team's staff. Neither will Tanner Banks. So salute to both of them. The aging lefties will not be back, but Foley might be. These guys all will be on the roster, and then these guys might be as well. So that's how we're setting things up right now. Just quickly looking at some of the guys we have down in the minor leagues. Unfortunately, Brody Breck no longer looking like he's going to be an option when it comes to the rotation with his 35 control. He's 26 years old. He had a not great year in AAA. He was like an average pitcher in AAA, but maybe he could be a guy who moves to the bullpen. It's still a 40, but I think I am going to limit him to just being a bullpen pitcher because I just don't trust him to start with this type of control, and hopefully maybe his stuff ticks up a bit and get some more strikeouts, because that's what you're hoping with a guy like Brody Brecht, but he's not really somebody we're looking at too highly anymore. We do still have guys like Ryan Hennon in the organization, lefty. He's still technically a part of the team. We still have somebody like Brian Walters, who's still technically a part of the team. He's 25, almost 26. Did not really shine in his very limited time in the big leagues last season. Tanner Bocabello is a guy who is still in the organization. He's a possible option for us. Jake Neely unfortunately tore his UCL at the end of last season, so he's going to miss a good chunk of 2029 for us, unfortunately. Had a decent year in Double-A, but he's another guy who has control issues and could possibly end up being a reliever for us somewhere down the line. We also have somebody like Ricardo Gomez, who could be an option for us, whether it's in the bullpen or like a back-end sort of 4 or 5 starter guy. Devin Sheeran is up in Double-A. Did not really have the best season in Double-A for us last year, but he is, somebody who could possibly develop into somebody decent. As far as position players go, we have Virgilio Encinas here, 21, almost 22-year-old infielder, coming off a decent season, mainly with the glove, it looks like, 3-win player, put together a 9 ZR at shortstop. 45 turn DP puts together that good of a season at shortstop. That's crazy to me. But he was a league average hitter, put up 20 doubles, 22 home runs. So, hopefully he can develop a bit with the bat. We're hoping that is the case. This Avoid K still has a ton to tap into. Still has some BABIP potential, some power potential here. Hopefully this power can jump up a bit more and turn him into a interesting hitter for us, especially with that pull hitter fly ball tendency. And then we have Hudson Head as a possible center field option. We have Demarion Terrell, who's currently at the big league level. And we also have Anthony Pack Jr., who's actually developed decently in this universe. Did not really develop for us at the Angels, but here in this one, he is 21 years old, almost 22, number 81 prospect in baseball. He's durable. He's got that 70 range, and the bat really hasn't come together as much as we would like right now. Still 35 only overall, but did come off a decent season between A-ball and Double-A for us, split between Kannapolis obviously has that really good defensive potential with the really good speed, so he could be a potential outfield option for us someday within the next couple seasons. And then we do have a couple pitching prospects who are like 45 potential guys who are down in High A for us right now in Winston-Salem. Braden Harris here was our first-round pick in 2026. Of course, he was a guy who immediately pretty much went down. I think we took him in 2026, was it? And then just immediately the next season, boom, all this stuff goes down. His potential drops from a 60 to a 45 after a couple months in our organization, because of course, but then some of it's gone back up here over the past season, and he looks like he could be like a potential reliever, 4th, 5th starter type for us. And then we've also got somebody like Miles Upchurch, who was a 2nd-round pick for us in 2025. Not the greatest season with the Winston-Salem dash. Jesus Christ, I can talk. And then has some decent potentials here. Good stamina. Could be a decent 4th, 5th starter reliever type for us to keep an eye on in the organization. And then one of our international signings is actually starting to develop here. He was a triple, holy trifecta guy: adaptability, work ethic, intelligence, big-time stuff potential. 80 grade fastball already, could be a 90 grade fastball, 55 at a 70 for his knuckle curve. His movement and control has not developed as of recently. Hasn't really put together for like an actual season in the minors, but he is actually starting to develop a bit more, and he could be a guy who comes in and is like an absolute weapon for us in the bullpen here at some point. So we have gone ahead and added our 10 players to the development lab here for this offseason, the first part of it. Virgilio Encinas has been added as the first player. We are trying to tap into his power potential. Pretty self-explanatory, trying to turn him into a better hitter here. And then Demarion Bub Terrell, trying to improve his quality of contact. He already has a decent amount of pop. He has some 50 gap power. The contact, though, definitely leaves something to be desired if we can get into this quality of contact. I thought about maybe bumping up. Honestly, he has the 55 potential with BABIP, so maybe we can hope that it goes up on his own, and we could maybe do his Avoid K instead. So I think we're going to go 2-strike approach for Bub Terrell instead. try to get some potential perhaps boosted on this and turn him into a bit less of a strikeout problem, because that has been a big problem of his throughout the entire minor leagues, obviously. And then as far as the rest of the guys go, Felipe Osorno, we are trying to tap into his movement here. He already has that 45 control, which is good enough to be a reliever in my mind. If the rest of it goes up on his own, that's cool too. But we do want to try to tap into this movement potential, possibly even get a potential boost to it and get that 55 movement. That would be fantastic on him. And then Jaden Barfield trying to tap into some velocity here. Maybe get this up to be like a 97, 98 miles an hour sort of thrower to bump up his stuff a bit to go with this control, make the fastball even more of a good pitch for him. So that's what we're doing with him. Everett Johnson is a 8th round pick for us from 2025 who is developing nicely. He's a captain type, really good speed profile, really good range in the corners, it looks mainly, but then doesn't really have too much pop in his bat right now. So we're seeing if we could get some of this gap power potential to go up perhaps with some gap power in the dev lab. Pedro Redman, pretty self-explanatory with him. He's already got 55 movement. 80 grade fastball, only 45 grade slider, trying to improve that 45 grade slider to make him a deadly pitcher for us in the bullpen. Walker Jenkins has some gap power potential, so we're just trying to tap into that because why not? Tanner Bocabello, he has some 55 movement potential. If we can tap into that, that would be fantastic because I've talked about how good the difference between 50 and 55 movement is, so we would love to see that happen for him. Christian De Los Santos trying to turn him into a legit power weapon for us. 50 gap power, 50 BABIP. Can we tap into some of this power potential he has and turn him into like an elite power bat here at the major league level for us at some point? And then we also have Armano Campana, who is a 20-year-old Italian who's developing nicely but doesn't really have anything too stand out right now. His gap looks like he could be, but if we could turn him into like an all-time powerful, just gap power guy with some decent defense to go with it, that could be fantastic for him. So that's what we're trying to tap into with Campana with the bat speed. So those are the 10 guys, and then obviously Bub Terrell here goes to the bottom because we removed and then added him back in. So those are the 10 guys we added. We will see how they do here at the end of the offseason. Oh, also, I should mention that our staff cohesion that has been constantly feuding the past few seasons, no longer feuding. So that is very good to see. All the stars are here. It is time for the awards to be named, or I guess they've been named already. It's time for us to go over the awards, as Braden Montgomery is your National League MVP on a Nationals team that did not do well this season, but Braden Montgomery, after 2 okay seasons in the big leagues, just turns on the Hyper Jets and goes to a 7.5 win season, 183 WRC plus, 56 home runs, 120 runs scored, led the league in all those categories along with average, slugging, and OPS. Great season for him. Obviously, the BABIP was way higher than it was this past the couple seasons, but maybe he sticks around at that point. Who knows? But good season for him. And then in the American League, it was Julio Rodriguez barely beating out Brian Ramos. 315 points for Julio Rodriguez and 314 for Brian Ramos. Brutal. And it looks like first place, so he had more first place votes, but Julio had more overall votes, so that pushed him forward. That's brutal. That is brutal. Brian Ramos misses out in his 49 home run season. Crazy year for him, but then Julio Rodriguez puts together a 9-win season. I mean, how many MVPs does this guy fucking need, huh? That's his 4th now. And then over in the National League, when it comes to the Cy Young, Framber Valdez now on the Mets. He wins the Cy Young. Bobby Miller of the Los Angeles Dodgers behind him. And then Nick Nastrini, top 3 in Cy Young votes, goes to the Brewers. Finally puts it together. He was just not able to do it for us. We gave him a chance. He had plenty of time to do it, and he just never figured it out with us for whatever reason. Goes to Milwaukee and turns into just an all-time movement guy. 60 movement, that's crazy stuff. Not stuff, but like crazy stuff as in like the descriptive term, I guess. And then over on the American League side of things, yes, he has done it again. Also getting votes, Jonathan Santucci, top 5 in Cy Young votes, but Tanner Houck for a third season in a row, 2026, 2027, both of the Boston Red Sox, then goes to the White Sox in 2028 and wins a third straight Cy Young. The best ERA of his career at a 2.82, leads the league in back-to-back seasons with ERA. Crazy, crazy good pitcher with his 60 movement and 70 control, and we've got him locked up for many more seasons here. So hopefully he can continue to pitch at this elite level for us. I don't really care about Rookies of the Year at this point, but I just thought it was funny that the National League Rookie of the Year was a Miami Marlin named Victor Acosta, and then basically every other guy who got votes was also a Miami Marlin. Bryce Dean of the Miami Marlins gets votes. Cole Hertzler of the Miami Marlins gets votes. You also have Fabian Lopez of the Miami Marlins gets votes. So just a bunch of different Marlins players getting votes here for Rookie of the Year in the National League. Somehow nobody on our team gets a Silver Slugger this year. Even Brian Ramos for his season where he gets 49 home runs because Juan Soto gets it over him at the first base position. And then Caro gets beaten out by Adley Rutschman, who is not washed in this universe like he is in real life. Gunnar Henderson, definitely don't look up his high school. And then we have another award winner as finishing 1 and 2 here in the reliever of the year with the American League is Grant Taylor, and then Jordan Leazier, 1 and 2 respectively, both on our team. Grant Taylor could push to the rotation this season, we will have to see, but 1 year in the bullpen, and it was a really, really, really good year for him as he was the best reliever in the American League according to the award winners. Hey, bruv, my name is Boys de Boys, and we are here at the international free agent signing period. We have signed our class. It is 5 players deep this season. A lot of it went into Luis Perez here, who is the best guy we signed this class, a Nicaraguan catcher. 55 framing, 60 blocking, 65 arm, high adaptability work ethic with some potentially really good bat to go along with it. 55 BABIP potential, 50 avoid K, 55 power or gap power, and then 70 power and 70 eye potential. Anytime I see a catcher like this available in IFA, I pretty much prioritize getting them because, you know, maybe they develop and we hit big and we have a generational catcher because that's, you know, you have a catcher like that, you've already got a leg up on like half the teams in the league, if not more than half. And then we also went and picked up Ian Caterinucci, a Venezuelan-Italian right-handed hitting third baseman, first baseman type guy. He's got a strong arm, but he's probably more so suited to play first base with a potentially decent-looking bat, or good-looking bat even. We picked him up for $900,000. Luis Perez, the 6'6" catcher, was picked up for $2.4 million. And then we also picked up another catcher in Ricardo Mercado, a Dominican catcher who has 60 framing, high leader. Looks like his bat could be decent as well for $150,000, extremely cheap. And then we also picked up an outfielder named Javier Garcia, who we are just going to go right ahead and make a left fielder because he's not a center fielder. A really good personality class, 55 range, decent looking bat to go along with it. He was $660,000. And then we also picked up a guy from Ghana, a switch hitting Ghana international, who probably not going to be an outfielder, probably more so a first baseman with that type of range. Yeah, we'll just make him a first baseman right away. Could have a decent bat as a switch hitter. Who knows? Hopefully he develops. We picked him up for $750,000, and that was our 5-man class this offseason. So we are now here at opening day, folks. It is time to go over what we did in this offseason. Quite a few pieces have been added to this team here for the 2029 campaign. Let's get into taking a look at them. So we'll start things off at the beginning of the offseason here for the recap. Our trainer retired. We had to replace him, and we picked up Caleb Moldenhauer as our new trainer. He is outstanding at preventing leg and back, legendary at preventing others, and then excellent at preventing arms, and then he has some good rehab ratings as well when it comes to arm, leg, and back. When it comes to the re-signs, we did end up bringing back Jason Foley on a 2-year deal. That's a 1 year with an option. Unfortunately, he did regress a bit in the offseason here, so he is a 40 right now and did not make the opening day roster, but he went down to AAA without any fuss. So he's got options. If we have an injury or someone's underperforming, Jason Foley will be in the big leagues back at some point again because he's still on the 40-man roster. And then obviously we did not bring back Tanner Banks or Jeffrey Springs. Tanner Banks ended up signing with the New York Mets through 2029. He signed just a 1-year deal, just a 1-year, $11 million deal, so I guess not really too many teams were interested in him. He is in their bullpen to start the season. And then Jeffrey Springs goes to the Kansas City Royals on a 2-year deal. The second year is a vesting option under the requirements that he gets 180 innings pitched. We could have possibly given him that money, but we spent the money in other spots. Also, his home runs allowed is now down to a 45, so not really loving that if we were to bring him back. So Kansas City gets that, and we get 2 different players added to our roster. We went out and we signed 3 pitchers to our major league staff, made the cut when it came to actually keeping pitchers on the opening day roster. Quite difficult, but I'm liking the 3 guys we pick up. So first one, we ended up picking up Enyel De Los Santos, who was top 5 in reliever of the year this past season with the Boston Red Sox, putting together a 1-win year down in Boston, or I guess up in Boston. East to Boston, however, in relative to where we are. It doesn't matter. Enyel De Los Santos now on our team here, 2-time world champion in 2025 with Boston, and then in 2028 also with Boston, beating us in the ALCS this past season. We signed him to a 1-year deal at $2 million and then tacked on a team option for $2 million as well. He has been just a phenomenal reliever throughout this entire universe, really, and he's got that 60 movement with that 60 control. This even only goes down to a 50 if you put him in the rotation, so he could possibly even get some starts for us, but he's going to be like a stopper sort of guy for us with that 35 stamina, with this 60 movement and 60 control. We're expecting big things from him, and then we also picked up Andres Munoz, who we got for extremely cheap because he's coming off a torn labrum last season with the Seattle Mariners. 30 years old, we picked him up on a 3-year deal. First 2 years are guaranteed at $5 million, and then there is a 3rd-year team option also at $5 million. So very cheap for a guy like Andres Munoz. 70 stuff, 70 fastball, 80 slider with the 30 stamina, 55 movement, 50 control. He's had some really good years with the Mariners, but last year got hurt like right away at the beginning of the season, and then we got him on a discount because he's coming off a major injury like that. And then we also picked up Tristan McKenzie as a reliever. He was a 55 when we signed him in free agency as a reliever. Is it going to show that here? Yeah, here we go. 55 as a reliever, but unfortunately it did drop back down to 50, but it's still fine. He is a 31-year-old who has had a couple decent seasons in bullpens the past couple of years. 2025 and 2024 was really good in the rotation for Cleveland, fell off in 2026, moved to the bullpen, was really good, and then went to Milwaukee last season and joined Nick Nastrini over there and was really good, and now he's here with us in Chicago. So we've got McKenzie, Munoz, and De Los Santos added to our staff this offseason. And then we also added a new backup catcher in Henry Davis, the former 1-1 overall pick to the to the Pittsburgh Pirates. He went 1-1, right? Yes, he did. 1-1 to the Pittsburgh Pirates, right? I don't know. I'm not really going to go back. It doesn't say here specifically what pick, but I'm fairly confident he went 1-1 to the Pittsburgh Pirates out of Louisville. But we get him here as our backup catcher. Not the greatest framer, but figured, he was like the most interesting guy to me in free agency to bring in as a cheap backup catcher option. So he's coming in and he's going to be our backup catcher. And that was really all we did here in the free agency in this offseason. So let's just jump right into taking a look at what our team looks like. When it comes to the hitting side of things, only rocking 3 guys on the bench, a catcher, an infielder, and an outfielder, so we can rock 1 extra reliever. And it's Kara once again leading off. Montgomery, Jenkins, Ramos. That's our 1 through 4 once again. Tobias is the 5th hitter. Zavala, 6th. Brooks Lee is actually going to get a chance to be our shortstop here this season, not Noah Miller, and hope that we can get a little bit better of offense at the shortstop position. And hope that Brooks Lee, not that he's ever given us any sort of reason to think that he can, but Brooks Lee, on paper, should be a better hitter than Noah Miller and give us good enough shortstop defense with that 65 range, 65 across the board with his defensive ratings. And he's had some decent ZRs at shortstop in his career. At second base was really, really good, obviously, for us. And then down in AAA last season, put up an 11.2 ZR at shortstop in only 47 games. So I'm confident that he's able to patrol the position. We'll see if he's able to actually hit decently for us and be an upgrade for Noah Miller. And then we also have Hudson Head in center field, and then Jacob Gonzalez to second base, with Magellan playing every third game at second against righties, and then against lefties the only change is that Magellan starts and Gonzalez is the backup infielder. And that's what the position players look like here for us in 2029. When it comes to the pitching side of things, we have a 1-5 of Tanner Houck, the reigning Cy Young, 3 straight for him. Jonathan Santucci, for some reason, went down to a 50, coming off his best season of his career. Don't really know why that's the case, but he does. Tanner McDougal in the 3 spot, Jaden Barfield in the 4 spot, who has improved his velocity up to 97-99, looking mighty fine heading into what is going to be his first full season here in the big leagues. In the rotation, even getting his first start. It's going to be his first major league start in his first start of the year. And then Grant Taylor is indeed going to be a member of our rotation as our 5th guy here, winning the reliever of the year last year, now into the rotation, now that we have just so many good relievers in the back end that I felt like we wanted to give him a chance in the rotation. And then in the bullpen, Andres Munoz is the closer let's take Liesier off this role here. Andres Munoz is the closer with an 8th plus or later high leverage secondary, and then you have 3 stoppers here in Eniel De Los Santos, Matt Manning, and Tristan McKenzie, all with high leverage secondaries. And then the next tier of guys, Liesier, Gonzalez as a double barrel setup, 6th or later high leverage stopper on each of them respectively, and then Caden Campbell, Hayden Younger, and Jared Kelly is the extra man to get some more stamina, and also he has no more options, and I just felt like he's too good of a player to risk losing in the waiver wire, so I just wanted to get 1 extra reliever and see how we can fare with that, at least to start the season. And then taking a quick look at the programs, the development programs this past offseason, Felipe Osorno did indeed improve his pitch movement. It says no noticeable changes, though. He is in A-ball to start this season. We're going to hope he can develop for us. Jaden Barfield, outstanding improvement, bumps his velocity up from 94 to 96 to 97 to 99. Everett Johnson also had an outstanding improvement. His potential gap rating goes up. He's actually going to start the year in AAA, I guess he had a little bit of time in AA last year, going straight to AAA this year. He might be on our big league roster at some point this season if we need an outfielder. And then we also had a successful program for Pedro Redmond, who's also in AAA. His slider went up a bit, so now he's got some decent slider to go along with that nasty fastball. We also have Walker Jenkins, who improved his gap a bit. This was 55, and then I think it went back down again in spring training. It did indeed. So that's just fantastic stuff. And then Bocabello had a poor training for his movement. His control, minus 25, but it did not go down 25. He still has 50 control. But the movement is just basically what it was before, but he's now throwing slower, which is not great. And then when it comes to the defensive programs, we had Colson Montgomery, who improved his defense a bit. He's now quite a solid defender at the third base position. We also have De Los Santos, who did not really do anything. Everett Johnson improved his outfield defense, so he's even better in the corners now. Love to see that. Walker Jenkins improved his defense. He's even better in the corners now. We have Brooks Lee, who improved his defense, so he should definitely be really solid at shortstop this season, at least hopefully. Rogelio Encinas improved his defense. He's now looking like a gold glove third base type glove. Ryan Burrows improved his defense, looking like he can hang even more in the middle infield. And then no improvement for Magellan, Gonzalez, or Chris Williams. We brought in as like a third catcher option because he's got a decent bat, but can't really catch that well. He's in AAA for us. And then quickly looking at the preseason predictions here for 2029, the Baltimore Orioles and Boston Red Sox are projected to be dominating the East Division. 97 wins for each team respectively, with the Blue Jays, Yankees, and Rays behind them. While over in our division, it's supposed to be a slaughter essentially between the top 4 teams, even the top 5 teams, Twins, Tigers, Guardians, White Sox, Royals, all within just single-digit games of each other. It's going to be a slaughter in the Central this season, it looks like. And then in the West, the Mariners going to run away with that, with the A's, Rangers behind them, both winning 80-plus games. Do we have anybody who is getting respect on the hitting side of things? We do not. What about the pitching side of things? Thankfully, they're respecting our 3-time Cy Young winner, but that is the only respect we get when it comes to players on these lists. And then on the National League side of things, you have the Braves and the Mets both winning 90-plus, and the Marlins even winning 85. While in the Central, it's the Cardinals, Cubs, and Brewers at the top of that division. And in the West, it's the D-backs and Padres, with everyone else behind them. The Dodgers no longer looking great, projected to finish dead last in the West Division. Last year, we got our best win total of 92. We went up from 89 the season before. We have now made back-to-back postseasons, so obviously the goal here in 2029 is to improve on that 92 win total and make the postseason once again and see if we can make a deeper run into October and November once again.